All right, so you're heading out on a trip, huh? Somewhere exciting, I bet.
Hopefully.
And you need to brush up on your English, or maybe you're just looking for some, handy phrases to make your travel experience a little bit smoother.
That's us. Your one-stop shop
Yeah,
for all your travel English needs.
exactly. We're gonna ditch the grammar textbooks this time
Yeah.
and dive straight into the essential phrases that you'll actually use in the real world.
Real world stuff. That's what we do.
From the moment you step off that plane
Yeah.
to the moment you board your flight home,
Yeah.
we're covering it all. Airports, hotels, restaurants, even how to handle, those unexpected situations.
Emergencies, yeah.
So whether you like to take notes or you're more of a just listen and absorb kind of person,
Yeah.
by the end of this, you'll be feeling confident
Yeah.
to navigate just about any situation you might encounter in an English-speaking country.
Especially with that airport, right? The airport can be a bit of a beast sometimes.
Oh, it can be so overwhelming.
Yeah, there's so much going on, so many people,
Signs everywhere.
Exactly. So let's break it down, starting with the first thing you're going to do when you get to the airport.
Checking in. Okay, you've got your luggage.
You've got your passport.
Yep, you're at the counter. What's the magic phrase?
I'd like to check in, please.
Simple as that.
Simple and polite.
And then, of course, they'll need to see that passport. Here's my passport.
Yep. And if you're worried about your flight, especially if you have a connection to catch,
Yeah, those are stressful.
don't be afraid to ask, is the flight on time?
Right. Better safe than sorry.
And while you're at it, you might as well try your luck with getting your preferred seat.
Oh, definitely. Window or aisle.
Exactly. A simple, can I have a window seat? Or can I have an aisle seat, please?
They might not always be able to do it,
Depends how full the flight is, yeah.
but it never hurts to ask. All right, you've got your boarding pass.
You're checked in.
Next up, security. This is where things can get a little
Tricky, yeah.
nerve-wracking. Taking off shoes, belts, laptops.
Look, with so many rules.
It can be confusing, yeah. So when in doubt, just ask, do I need to take off my shoes?
Or do I need to take my laptop out of my bag?
Exactly. It's much better to ask than to, hold up the line.
Definitely. Okay, you're through security. Now you need to find your gate. Those airport maps can be a bit of a maze sometimes.
They can be huge.
So don't be shy about asking for help. What gate is this flight?
Yep. And once you're at the gate, you're probably wondering, when do we start boarding?
Eternal question.
Everyone's waiting for that announcement, right?
All right, so you've boarded, you've landed in your exciting destination, and now it's time for customs and immigration.
Deep breath.
This is where they'll ask you about, the reason for your visit and how long you're planning to stay.
It's important to be honest and polite here.
Absolutely. So when they ask, what is the purpose of your visit? Keep it simple. I'm here on vacation.
Or if you're traveling for work, you can say, I'm here on business. And they'll probably ask, how long will you be staying? Have a clear answer ready. I'll be staying for 1 week.
Or 2 weeks, or however long your trip is.
And they might also want to know where you'll be staying. So have the name and address of your hotel.
Oh, your Airbnb. Yeah.
Andy, I'm staying at the Grand Hotel.
Easy.
So what's the key takeaway for navigating the airport?
Keep it simple. Clear communication is key.
You'll get fancy.
Exactly. Short, simple sentences, spoken clearly and politely.
You don't need to impress anyone with your vocabulary.
Just make sure you're understood.
Okay, you've made it through the airport. You've got your luggage.
Now, how are you going to get to your hotel?
Transportation. This can be another tricky one, especially in a new city.
Yeah. So let's start with the most straightforward option. Taxis.
You hop in a cab, you're ready to go. How do you tell the driver where you're headed?
All right, so this is where you might want to have the address written down.
Or on your phone, yeah.
You can just show it to the driver and say, can you take me to this address, please?
Nice and clear.
No, it's always a good idea to have a rough idea of how much the fare will be.
Especially if you're on a budget.
You can ask, how much will it cost to get to your destination?
Now, they might not always be able to give you an exact price, especially if there's traffic.
Yeah, it's more of an estimate.
But it's good to have a ballpark figure in mind.
And if you want to make sure the fare is calculated properly, you can always ask them to use the meter. Could you turn on the meter, please?
Good tip. All right, so you're approaching your destination. How do you let the driver know where to stop?
Okay, so as you get close, you can say something like, please drop me off at the corner.
Or if you want them to stop exactly where you are, just say, please stop here.
Easy peasy.
Now, let's talk about public transportation. This can be a bit more challenging, but it's often the most affordable option.
And sometimes it's even faster.
Especially in big cities with lots of traffic.
So first things first, you need a ticket. Where do you get one?
That's where you ask, where can I buy a ticket?
You can usually find ticket machines at train stations and bus stops.
Or sometimes you can buy them on board, but it's always best to check.
Okay, you've got your ticket. Now you need to figure out which bus or train to take.
This is where things can get a little tricky. So don't be afraid to ask, does this bus go to downtown?
Or if you're at a train station, you could ask, does this train stop at Central Station?
Make sure you're heading in the right direction
Now, if you're on a bus or tram, you'll want to know when to get off.
so you don't miss your stop.
You can ask, how many stops until the museum? Or whatever your destination is.
That way you can keep track and be ready to get off when it's time.
And of course, a universal question for any kind of shared transportation. Is this seat taken?
Always polite to ask before you plunk down next to someone.
Okay, so you've mastered taxis and public transportation.
What happens if you get lost?
Everyone gets lost sometimes. It's all part of the adventure.
So how do you ask for directions?
Start with a polite, excuse me. Then you can say, how do I get to the train station? Or, can you direct me to the art gallery?
If you're wondering how far it is, you can ask, is it far from here?
That'll help you decide whether to walk or find another mode of transportation.
Now, sometimes verbal directions just aren't enough.
Especially if you're a visual person.
If you have a map, you can ask, can you show me on the map?
Most people are happy to help.
So what's the pro tip for navigating transportation like a pro?
Okay, this is a big one. Download offline maps in English before you travel,
Lifesaver.
especially if you don't have reliable internet access.
And take a few minutes to familiarize yourself with some basic street terms in English, like intersection, turn right, crosswalk, straight ahead.
That way you'll be able to understand directions even better.
Okay, you've arrived at your hotel. You're probably tired from your journey.
Time to check in and relax.
You walk up to the reception desk. What's the first thing you say?
All right, so if you've made a reservation, just say, I have a reservation under your name.
And have your confirmation email or booking number handy.
Just in case.
Now, sometimes you might arrive at the hotel before the official check-in time.
It happens.
You can always ask, can I check in early?
They might not always be able to accommodate you, but it's worth a shot.
And while you're checking in, it's a good time to ask about breakfast. Is breakfast included?
Saves you having to figure that out later.
And it's also good to know what time you need to check out. What time is checkout?
So you can plan accordingly.
Okay, you've got your room key.
Time to head up.
You get to your room, and you realize you need something. Maybe an extra towel or an extra pillow.
Or maybe the air conditioner isn't working.
What do?
You call down to the front desk and politely explain the situation.
Can I have an extra towel, please?
Or, the air conditioner in my room isn't working.
If there's a bigger problem, like the room is too noisy or you're not happy with it for some reason,
You can always ask to change rooms. Can I change rooms, please?
just be polite and explain the reason why.
And finally, if you need to wake up at a specific time, you can ask for a wake-up call.
Can I get a wake-up call at 6 a.m., please?
Make sure to confirm the time.
So what's the pro tip for having a smooth hotel stay?
Okay, here's the thing. Hotel staff are used to dealing with people from all over the world.
They've seen it all.
So don't be afraid to speak slowly and clearly.
And if you don't understand something, just ask them to repeat it.
Could you say that again, please?
Yeah.
Or could you speak a little slower?
They're there to help you.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on to the fun stuff. Food.
Everyone loves to try new food when they travel, right?
So let's talk about eating out.
All right, so if you're going to a popular restaurant, especially during peak hours, you might want to make a reservation.
Good thinking.
You can call the restaurant, or usually you can book online these days.
When you call, you can say, I'd like to make a reservation for 2 at 7 p.m.
Or however many people are in your group.
You're at the restaurant, you're seated at your table, time to order.
First things first, you need a menu. Can I see the menu, please?
Simple as that.
And when you're ready to order, you can just tell the server what you'd like.
I'll have the grilled chicken, or I'd like the pasta primavera.
Now, if you have any special requests, like you want your food without onions or you're allergic to nuts,
This is super important.
make sure you mention it when you order.
Could I have it without onions, please? Or I'm allergic to nuts, so please make sure there are no nuts in my dish.
And if you're not sure about something, just ask, like, is this dish spicy?
It's always better to be safe than sorry.
If you can't finish your meal, you can ask for a doggy bag.
Can I get this to go?
And when you're ready to pay, you can ask for the bill.
Can I have the bill, please?
And if you're splitting the bill with friends, you can say, can we split the bill?
So what's the pro tip for navigating restaurants and cafes?
All right, if you have any allergies or dietary restrictions, it's really helpful to learn some basic food-related vocabulary in English.
That way you can easily communicate your needs.
And you can have a safe and enjoyable dining experience.
Okay, you've eaten your fill.
Time for some shopping.
Whether you're looking for souvenirs or just browsing local shops, it's good to know a few key phrases.
So you spot something you like. How do you find out how much it costs?
How much is this?
Easy. And if you're looking for a different size or color, you can ask, do you have this in a larger size? Or do you have this in blue?
And if you want to try something on, just ask, can I try this on, please?
They'll usually direct you to the fitting rooms.
When you're ready to pay, you can ask, do you accept credit cards?
Or do you take Apple Pay?
Most places do these days.
Now, if you're looking for something specific, like a local souvenir,
You can ask, what's a popular souvenir from this area?
or I'm looking for a gift for my friend, what would you recommend?
Shopkeepers are usually happy to help you find the perfect thing.
And if you're buying a gift, you can ask them to wrap it for you.
Can you wrap this, please?
So what's the pro tip for shopping like a local?
Okay, in some cultures, it's perfectly acceptable to haggle or bargain for a lower price.
Especially in markets and smaller shops.
You can try saying, can you give me a better price? Or, is there any discount?
Just remember to be polite and respectful even if they say no.
All right, let's move on to a topic we hope you won't need, but it's important to be prepared for.
Emergencies.
In any emergency situation, being able to communicate clearly and quickly is crucial.
So let's go over some key phrases.
If you need help, shout, I need help.
Or if you see something dangerous happening, you can say, please call the police.
If there's been an accident, you can say, there's been an accident.
And if you're feeling unwell, you can say, I'm not feeling well, or I need to see a doctor.
If you have any allergies, it's super important to be able to communicate that.
I'm allergic to, and then state the allergen, like peanuts or penicillin.
And if you need to find someone who speaks English, you can ask, do you speak English?
So what's the pro tip for handling emergencies and health issues?
This is a good one. Keep a note in your wallet or on your phone with your emergency contact information.
And any allergies or medical conditions you have?
And get sure it's written in English.
This could be really helpful if you're unable to communicate for any reason.
All right, let's shift gears to a more fun topic.
Yeah.
Making friends and having social conversations.
Meeting new people is one of the best parts of traveling.
So how do you strike up a conversation with someone you don't know?
It can be as simple as asking, where are you from?
Or if you're both admiring the same view, you could say, beautiful day, isn't it?
If you want to get some local recommendations, you can ask, what do you recommend doing around here?
People love to share their favorite spots.
And for some casual small talk, you can comment on something you both have in common.
Like, the food here is amazing, or I love your accent.
Food and accents are always good conversation starters.
So what's the pro tip for making friends and having meaningful conversations while you travel?
Don't be shy.
Most people are friendly and open to chatting.
Just smile, say hello, and be open to connecting with others.
You never know who you might meet or what you might learn.
Exactly.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground today. Let's wrap things up with some final tips for success.
The most important thing is to be confident.
Don't worry about making mistakes.
Just focus on communicating clearly and politely.
And don't forget the power of body language.
Use hand gestures and facial expressions to help get your message across.
Technology can be a huge help too.
Download a translator app on your phone before you travel.
It can come in handy in a pinch.
And if you don't understand something, don't be afraid to ask for clarification.
Could you say that again, please, or do you mean?
It's always better to ask than to pretend you understand.
And finally, keep a phrase book or a list of essential phrases on your phone.
It's like having a cheat sheet in your pocket.
So there you have it, our deep dive into essential English for travel.
We hope you're feeling more prepared and excited for your adventures.
Remember, language is a bridge that connects us to new people, new experiences, and new memories.
So embrace the journey and have fun.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.
Safe travels!